Good morning, this is a foreigner in the Philippines. Well, I expect if you're in the West you're looking with some concern about all of this news. Or maybe you don't even get any news for our tiny little place that we live. But martial law, how is martial law affecting us? Oh, let me see. Not at all. It hasn't affected how I drive down to the road. It hasn't affected how I go to a restaurant. It hasn't affected how I walk through the streets. I see troops who are going about their business in about the same frequency as perhaps you do if you live in any town in the US or the UK. It's just not affecting us at all. Perhaps there is one way. We're watching all of these things that are happening on Mindanao in exactly the same way that you are, but day-to-day life is carrying on exactly as it always is. Something that probably a lot of people don't realize about the Philippines is that there are 7,000 islands, and some of those islands are tiny. One of the islands that Beth goes to occasionally to do one of her all-night prayer meetings with the pastor that's on that small island tells me that there are 30 families living there. It's an island that is quite low-lying, so at high tide the houses are on stilts and you need a boat to get from one house to another. So yeah, well, I imagine that martial law is affecting them not at all in exactly the same way that it doesn't affect us. So if you're over there worrying about how Beth and I, or any of our family, all of the people that you've been watching on this channel are getting along, it's just business as usual. We're just getting around doing the things that we do, and nothing has changed. Now, of course, we're concerned that there are people being on the island of Mindanao that are being affected. But here's the other thing. Mindanao is a huge island. It's a huge landmass. It's a great concern politically because it has huge resources, which are as natural resources, which apparently are yet untapped. So yes, there's a lot of controversy. It's a big problem for, I imagine, for the government that they have insurgents said, rebels. Rebels, by the way, are anybody who opposes a government. That's the thing there, and it doesn't always have anything to do with right and wrong. And people do extreme things when they are impacted in an extreme way for whatever their reason, and people find lots of different reasons for doing whatever it is that they do. Religious is one of them. So the Muslims are, let me see, what can we say? The Muslims are there on Mindanao, and they would like to have, I guess, they would like to have that island to themselves and be separate. Now, is that unusual? No, it's not unusual, because if you think about it, Texas has been talking about separating from the United States for the longest time. Scotland wants to be free of England, as does certain people that live in Wales. Ireland has been having that issue for, well, since ever I can remember. So this is not, the tendency is to think that all of this is happening just in the Philippines, like corruption. Everybody says, well, corruption is just, you know, that's what's ruining the Philippines. Yeah. Do you live in America? Okay. Are you getting my point? Do you live in the UK? Yes. Everywhere that you go, you have governments that are run by people. And wherever you get people, you get corruption. Because if someone is in a situation of power and he can say yay or nay to some project that has to go through that's going to make somebody a great deal of money, guess what? He is tempted to give his yay in response to a great deal of money being placed in some bank account somewhere. Does this happen just in the Philippines? Sorry, no, it doesn't. It happens all over the world. And that's what it's about, money and power. And the people who are in power usually because they have a great deal of money and can buy their way in. Now, is this some kind of rebel talk from me? It's just a fact of life. If you go and you need to have a piece of paper stamped and giving that person who holds the stamp in his hand a week's wages with which he can bring some extra delights to his family, it's going to be a temptation to do that. Just imagine if you had a lot of money. Now, you want to go and you want to, say, have a special celebration at a restaurant which is a favourite of yours. Now, a number of years ago, before I ever started thinking about what money would do to you, a friend of mine says, well, it corrupts people. As soon as people get a lot of money, they are prone to be corrupted. So it's not just about some lofty government official giving his okay for a huge project to go ahead that will be an eyesore for most of the community, but what the hell, he's going to take the money. It's not just about that. As my friend said, just imagine if you had a great deal of money, if you won the lotto and there you are sitting with $4 million in your bank account, and you want to go and you want to go to the Chez LBC or whatever the restaurant is that you want to go, and you call them up and you say, I need a reservation for the 22nd, and they say, sorry, we're fully booked. Now, with your $4 million sitting in the bank, you can say to that owner, why don't you have a breakdown in services on the 22nd, and I will book the entire restaurant at what, name your price, for my people to come along there, and I'm only bringing 12 people as opposed to the 50 or 60 or 70 people you're going to have to serve to make the same money. Now, corruption. You are being corrupt, and you are corrupting the person who owns the restaurant, because he's going to have to think about that. Wow, I can serve just 12 people at the same price that it would cost me to serve 70 or 80 people, and I can rebook them at another time and make them happy at no extra cost. This sounds like a good deal to me. Plus I'll be home by 10 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock in the morning with that other crowd. Corruption. It's making things go your way for less than ethical means. Instead of going through the rules that everybody else is going on, you don't. You bypass those rules and you make money talk. So, back to how ordinary life is going in the Philippines. It's going along in an ordinary way. And I wonder, when you get these huge changes in government in places like China, I wonder how that affects a farmer working in the fields. Does he look up from his plough and say, wow, it's the Conservatives in, it's the Labour is in, it's this is in, is that is in? Do you think he even looks up? I don't think he probably even notices that the government has changed. That's how government can impact the people. Not at all. It need not necessarily change how life is going along. Now, right now, it's an inflammatory situation where you get martial law. Martial law, everybody thinks of troops walking the streets with guns cocked, loaded, ready to fire, and the sound of gunfire. And all of these things are heard, and they impact life a lot. But places in the Philippines are not all the same. There are islands, as I said, 7,000 islands, and these islands are quite separate from each other in their way of life, in their language. Beth's mom would love to have Beth's sister come and live at the house here. She would love that. The sister has several children, and her husband works away. He only comes home for a few days every other month. So every 2 months the family is reunited. Beth's mom would like to have them here. Why not? You may as well spend your time here. The sister doesn't want to, because her children speak a different language. Now, even though they have the common language of Tagalog, her children would speak a different language, because we speak Visayan and Tagalog, but Visayan is the language that is on the street. When you go out and you order something at the sari-stari store or at the supermarket, it's Visayan. So the woman is worried about how ordinary life for her children would be affected. Now, Mindanao, where martial law has been declared, is a large island, and I actually see friends, Facebook friends, who are saying, for your interest, we're on Mindanao, we're okay. We're not seeing any action, not hearing any gunfire. They're totally safe. And that's how it is for a huge number of people who live on this island, Mindanao, and they're putting up with martial law. We actually have a curfew on here where we are now. In Bohol, we have I think it's a 10 o'clock. That's how strict it is. I think it's a 10 o'clock curfew. Don't be on the streets after 10 o'clock. Well, we're frequently on the streets after 10 o'clock. Sometimes if we don't, we might not leave the restaurant where we've been having dinner and then uploading our videos. That gets us home after dark, 10 o'clock at night. And the streets are deserted, and we're totally safe. That's how we feel. And we go home in the dark. So, life goes on. And we are totally safe. Somebody asked me yesterday, how do you feel? Do you feel safe? The question, I had to think about the questions. What do you mean? Had to ask him to, can you clarify the question? Do I feel safe? What? When? If I'm facing a carabao with those big horns, do I feel safe? Not really. Do you understand? Feeling safe. We feel safe. We are safe. Nobody's changed in their attitude towards me as a foreigner. I'm treated exactly the same, and almost in a way which is special and above what anybody else would be treated. Seems to me I'm treated extra nice. Well, so that's all about, that's all for us about martial law. It's not affecting us at all. So this has been just a little glimpse at what our ordinary life is taking us. We're going up today to Tagbilaran to find out the results, have the results of my test. I had some tests about a week ago. We went to Tagbilaran. I had some cardio tests and other tests that you need before we go to Manila, and other things, possibly even in vitro, discuss the whole thing, see what our options are. So that's where we're off to today. Thanks for looking in. This is A Foreigner in the Philippines. Bye for now.